Hello, welcome back to Drunk Story Time with K-Fish. K-Fish, drunk. When I found this in the liquor store out of the corner of my eye, I was like, I need to do some wives fix because I'm a basic bitch, and I'm like, pink equals wives. Don't come after me. I mixed in a little bit of Chambord too because it was just a little bit, so I had to kind of even it out. Anyway, wives fic. This is explicit adult content. This one is How Far You Satisfied Me by Meridians of Madness. This one comes with tags that I've not read before, so I'm going to do a warning just in case you don't know Meridians of Madness, who is fantastic. Caters to very specific kinds of kinks, I'll tell you that, and they do it magnificently. This one has obviously wives, size kink, cock warming, strap-ons, and some dominant submission and domestic fluff. It works. Okay, so How Far You Satisfied Me. The summary is Crowley asks, or maybe begs, for bigger and better. But when Aziraphale accommodates her, she finds her appetite doesn't necessarily match her ability. Eyes bigger than the stomach, or other parts. Well, said Crowley with a slow blink, you really took me seriously when I said that you could go bigger, didn't you? Aziraphale laughed, passing a plump hand down the pale blue shaft protruding so rudely from her hips. She was entirely naked, acres of pale flesh that Crowley could barely believe she was not touching right this minute, and the thin black straps of her favorite harness cutting into her hips. Oh, I'm dreadfully sorry, darling girl, she said with just a slight teasing sparkle in her smile. Are your pretty eyes too big for your... Crowley held up her hand. Going to stop you right there, Angel. No, absolutely not. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It was, frankly, also just a little intimidating. But no way in the world was she going to tell her Angel that. Instead, she squared up, hands on her bare hips, and nodded towards the bed. All right, let's get on with it, she said, and then she found herself scooped up in Aziraphale's strong arms. Angel? Quite right, Aziraphale said cheerfully. Let's. She deposited Crowley on her back on their bed, and when Crowley would have sat up, she pushed her back down. Crowley bit her lip. Angel, she said reluctantly, I don't think this is the best position to... Oh, no, it certainly isn't. But everything at the right time, my dear. Crowley watched as Aziraphale removed a plunge bottle from the bedside table, frowning. I was going to do that, she said, and Aziraphale hummed. And now I am. Crowley started to say something smart, but then Aziraphale's slicked hand was between her legs, cupping her mound to get absolutely everything messy and rubbing just right to make Crowley squirm before going anywhere close to inside her. Crowley sighed in spite of herself, and Aziraphale murmured, pleased. For a moment, she simply allowed Aziraphale to handle her, to graze her clit with firm affection and to finger her open with a single-mindedness that was more than a little enthralling. She made the most gorgeous humming noises while she worked over Crowley's flesh, dedicated and distracted at once. And Crowley put her hands behind her head, luxuriating in her angel's attention. I wouldn't mind that. It was only when she realized she was getting sleepy when she pushed Aziraphale's hand away. Yeah, that's not what you're going for with that kind of thing. All right, enough of that, or it's all we'll do tonight. I wouldn't regret it, Aziraphale said, but she was eager as Crowley. But she was eager as Crowley climbed up and gestured her down on her back on the bed. She took another palmful of lubricant, slicking down the shaft that her fingers couldn't quite meet around. And Crowley rolled her eyes. Certain you have enough there, Angel? Shall we find out? The first inch was a challenge. She was never going to give Aziraphale the satisfaction. Eyes bigger than her, whatever. But by the time she was halfway down, she was sweating and squirming. Her hands braced on Aziraphale's shoulders and occasionally taking a comforting grope of her large breasts. Fuck, she whispered. Fuck. Aziraphale's hands on her hips tightened a little threateningly. I'm not here to be a pillory, Aziraphale said, and Crowley licked her lips. Oh, but what if you were, Angel? She murmured. Me impaled on you, taking whoever came by up my ass or in my mouth? You could feel every single bit, maybe comfort me a bit as I took it. Aziraphale made a noise that perhaps could be best categorized as reluctantly aroused, and that helped Crowley ease down a little further. The stretch, that kind of burning sensation that would never decide if it was good or not. Help, Crowley finally said, and with a slightly breathless whimper of her own, Aziraphale rocked her hips up into Crowley's stretched, taut body, fraction by fraction helping her take the new toy. Fucked, penetrated, impaled. Crowley loved those words so, and she closed her eyes, not taking herself away from her lover exactly, but focusing on the emotions. Glee and shame and love and ever so much more that made her body shiver and open. She was on the verge of finally tapping out when Aziraphale rocked up that extra tiny bit and she was settled on her angel's hips, thighs spread wide, and yes, oh yes, impaled was the right word. She opened her eyes almost wonderingly, and Aziraphale, dewy and glowing as an aristocrat's idea of a shepherdess, beamed up at her. What? Oh, well done, my love, she said. Take a moment, please, before you... I may have to take more than that, Crowley admitted. Angel, I'm not sure can. Aziraphale's toy was blunt and crude inside her, filling her up so perfectly that it felt there was no give at all. Not to shift, not to slide, not even to undulate against Aziraphale's body or to rut. She couldn't move, and Aziraphale gave her a concerned look. Oh, my dear. Well, here, let me. Crowley frantically batted Aziraphale's hand down, shaking her head. No. I want to stay like this. She bit her lip. Can I? Aziraphale's narrowed just a little in speculation. Are you asking me for my opinion? Or are you asking me for my permission? Permission, please. Aziraphale smiled at that, the secret dimple on her chin so perfect that Crowley couldn't resist pressing reaching out to press it with her finger. Before she could touch, however, Aziraphale took her hand, kissed it, and then pushed it between Crowley's legs. "I did not give you permission for that," she said sweetly. Aziraphale tucked her hands behind her head, Aziraphale tucked her hands behind her head, mirroring Crowley's indolence from earlier, and her gaze traveled up and down Crowley's body as Crowley perched on her hips. "Oh, very nice," she said in a slightly different tone. "Why don't you lean back a little, my darling? Show me the results of your hard work." Crowley whimpered, but did as she was told, leaning back slightly awkwardly with one hand to steady her as the other spread her lips to give Aziraphale a good view. It was slightly obscured by the rise of Aziraphale's breast and belly, but she made a pleased sound as Crowley's fingers slipped for purchase and exposed the shaft that felt as if it were splitting her open. "So beautiful," she said. "All right, back to me, pretty girl." Crowley groaned as she shifted forward, the toy inside her shifting as well and hitting new territory. "Aziraphale," she whimpered, and her angel positively purred. "I think you like having that cock up in your tight little quim," she said, not unkindly. "I think you enjoy taking all of that right until you can't." Blushing furiously, Crowley nodded. She did. "And goodness, what am I meant to do when you are enjoying yourself so?" "Angel?" Aziraphale smiled, not quite her most sharp, but close, and Crowley's body somehow clenched around the shaft even tighter in arousal and delicious fear. "If you are going to pout and beg and plead—" "I didn't!" Crowley said in offense, and then she yelped when Aziraphale reached up to tweak. Alcohol fixes all pronunciation problems. Reached up to tweak her nipple sharply. "Ow!" What the hell sound did I just make? Ow! "I am talking now, Miss Crowley. As I was saying, if you are going to pout and beg and plead, and by heaven you did, for more cock, then you can certainly sit and deal with the consequences." Crowley's breath suddenly went short and she stared at the angel, the toy inside her feeling even larger and even more intrusive as a shudder of pleasure went down her spine. "And what are you going to do, ma'am?" she asked, her voice small. "Reach over into the nightstand for me. I believe I left at least some old Jacobean plays in there." Biting her lip, Crowley retrieved the thin tracts, moving slowly and carefully, mindful of how each shift was echoed inside her. Yikes. Aziraphale did not take the plays from her, but instead inspected them before nodding. "Ah, the Decker, please, and from the beginning." "You can't be serious, Angel. You cannot expect me to just sit." Aziraphale gave her a level look. "I believe you know what to say if you want me to stop." She did. She didn't say it, and Aziraphale smiled. "I thought not. Do not make me tell you what I want again." Crowley swallowed hard, set the other books back, and flipped to the page requested, tilting it down for Aziraphale to read as the angel reclined on the bed. For a while, all was silent as Aziraphale read, read, murmuring, "Turn, please," as she reached the end of the page and tutting at something at the play. Straddling her hips, the toy still stretching her monstrously wide, Crowley felt stretched to the edge of her skin, imagining herself as a mere tool or toy, something Aziraphale had set up to help herself read in comfort. I love it. If you could just sit here. She felt oddly invisible, and at the same time, Aziraphale's hand coming down to absently stroke her thigh or circle her nipple, too real as well. At the end of Act 2, Crowley spoke up. What happens when you get to the end of the play?" she asked, and Aziraphale's blue eyes flickered from the text to her face. "Oh, well, I think you'll be properly opened by then, just like you wanted. You weren't going to get there just by pushing yourself down like that, but after you've perched like that for 5 acts, some ravishings and a few sword fights, you might be able to take me." "How?" Crowley choked. "Perhaps I'll simply put you on your face and fuck you. Or perhaps I would like to see you on all 4s. I do get ever so much deeper when you're biting the sheets and telling me you can't, don't I?" Aziraphale asked brightly. Oh, brightly. Okay, let me try it again. Brightly. "I do get ever so much deeper when you're biting the sheets and telling me you can't, don't I?" That's better. Crowley cried out at that, her pussy throbbing and suddenly wetter at Aziraphale's calm words, and Aziraphale smiled. "Stay still, dear. You're not coming until I do tonight, and if you do, I might not let you come for a while. Now, Act 3, if you please." Crowley hadn't thought of coming at all like this. Well, not much. But now she was, and with trembling hands, she turned the page. God, I love bastard Aziraphale. I don't care what gender they are. "I do get deeper when you're biting the sheets and telling me you can't." Oh, damn, that's hot. I love that. So this was How Far You Satisfied Me by Meridians of Madness. I love it. I am a very big Meridians of Madness fan. I will say mind the tags if you go looking for them, which I highly do suggest. But mind the tags. So, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for letting me read your story. And I'll see you next time.